Welcome, friends, to Tanked Up, the podcast all about video games and craft beer. I'm one of your hosts, Ben, here with Lucy.
Oh, hello.
Hello. And Aadil.
Hey!
It's episode 435. We're going to crack some beers. We're going to talk about some video games. We're going to talk about stuff. Who wants to go first? Who wants to open a beer? Who's ready?
I can go first.
Because I don't have a beer, so...
Oh, you're having a week off.
And I'll go second, because Lucy's already done. You know what, though? I feel like you've been letting diehard fans down, because you've now had multiple, in the past probably year, my memory's not what it used to be, multiple times where you haven't had a beer, but your trusty friend, the water jug, has not made an appearance.
Hold on.
Oh, it might be there. Is it there?
No.
Oh, that's not fair. Although it is a lovely... yeah.
Nice. What are you drinking then, Aadil? What's going on? What are you having?
So this was stashed for me a while ago by Ben over at the Hop Knocker. And I popped by today being like, I'm recording today and I don't have anything. And he's like, basically the Vault Cities has a series of soda pop knockoffs.
Okay.
And he was like, the Physician, which is F-I-Z-Z-I-C-I-A-N. It's a Dr. Pepper knockoff. Apparently everyone was raving about it, but it has lactose. In fact, all of the ones have lactose except for Zest, which is obviously a Sprite ripoff, and Ruby Cola, which is obviously a Coke knockoff. And I was like, so these are the only ones without lactose. He's like, yeah, and they all just taste like flavored water. I'm like, cool, we'll buy those then. And then he's like, wait, hold on, have you had this? And he had stashed this one can, and he's been trying to find a keg of it for ages because they were already out at the distributor, so he's planning on going to all the secondary sources. Of Vault Cities Peach, Ginger, Lychee, Lemongrass, Coconut Session Sour. 4.7%.
This is why I don't drink a beer anymore. Aadil's ruined beer for me now. With all these Vault City beers. It's your fault.
So...
I abstain from this.
This recipe is an evolution of our 2022 Lychee Lemongrass Session Sour, blending the juicy sweetness of ripe peaches with the subtle warmth of spiced ginger. Bursting with vibrant exotic flavors, it balances luscious lychee and zesty lemongrass with the smooth, creamy richness of coconut. Ben described this as the best sour he's ever had.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, and you have 1 tin left and you're giving it to me. He's like, yes, but you have to mention me on the podcast. I'm like, I don't know how I couldn't with an anecdote like this and the claim you made. So
brilliant.
Yeah.
Cool. What was the percentage? You said session.
Yes, 4.7.
Right. Okay.
A healthy session.
Nice. I'm going the opposite end. Not quite a full double IPA.
Had?
It's still an IPA, but in celebration of Ranjit around the corner in the shop getting Deya in, I'm going to drink a Deya beer. And it's one I haven't had before called The Walls Leaned Away, which is a 7% IPA.
I have a can of that. I have a can of that.
Yeah. I was eyeing that in the place before I was given the stash beer.
Nice. This one says
narrowly avoided having the same beer.
Fermented with White Labs Vermont Ale yeast, Crus and Citra, tag teaming the dry hop. Loads of juicy orange, guava, apricot, and twists of sweet grapefruit on the finish. So there we go. It's dripping absolutely everywhere. I don't know what's going to happen with this can. It's I don't know what's happened to the can. It's sort of almost not depressurized, but it's pushing in very slightly. Don't know if I've dinged it or I've put it in a poor part of the fridge or something. Almost no carbonation on the crack there, so maybe something's happened to the tin itself. But it's Deya, so who cares? I'll pour. Aadil, we'll come back to you.
Sure. On the pour, even while listening to you and pouring towards the camera, I could still smell the lemongrass, ginger, and lychee just on the pour from like this far away. Oh, that smells luxurious. So you're getting the spice from the ginger, a smooth, sweet coconut that's balanced with the lychee. Did you say lychee or lychee here?
Lychee.
Lychee.
Okay.
Lychee. That sounds
Yeah.
like something
like a
different
mollusk.
entirely.
Yeah. I mean, the first
What
time, have you ever
pure-
actually like cracked one open, like had it in shell and like opened them up?
Yeah.
Because there is
Oh.
something mollusk-like about that, like
Guess so.
cracking the shell and the slimy
Like
thing comes out.
fleshy.
Yeah.
Yummy.
Oh, that is a very the lemongrass comes right at the end of the nose as just this nice little peak of citrus.
Nice.
That's a really, like I said, it's mostly this creamy, like it's coconut cream, not just coconut. That's what
Mhm.
it smells like. Coconut cream with lychee and a bit of ginger, and then this nice lick of
It's a
lemongrass.
curry. It's a
Yeah.
Thai curry.
Yeah.
I mean,
You'd feel the
it's one of my
lemongrass would-
favorite things to cook.
You'd
It's
feel
one
the
of my
lemongrass would
favorite
get
things to eat.
lost quite easily with all of those other flavors going on.
Yeah, well, I think that's why it just appears right at the end of the nose.
Hmm.
But I should just because it was such a large title. It does say peach ginger.
Mm-hmm.
And the ingredients are indeed water, malted barley, oats, peach, lychee, ginger, hops, yeast. Not
Okay.
lemongrass? Not in there?
Maybe it's the combination
Ooh.
of things.
Yeah, maybe it's just
sort of brings
on
that
coconut.
up.
Coconut's clearly. I don't understand ingredients sometimes because it's like,
I guess like Sriracha Ace is a hop.
yeah,
I add that kind of like lemony, dilly kind
yeah.
of taste to it. But
This is a very, very lovely tasting drink. The stone fruit comes out more in the taste. It's got this really nice finish of that lemongrass and ginger sort of sharpness.
Mm.
It's really smooth, easy to drink. It leaves a slight tingle on the tongue. And the lychee and coconut and stone fruit are all being what you want out of a sour. It's got a hint of the maltiness to keep it beerish.
Okay.
But I will say, I mean, it tastes great. If you're looking for a more beery sour, you're not going to be shocked that this isn't quite it. But almost nothing Vault City is going towards that. But it's really, really tasty. I mean, that's kind of why I called it a drink. It's a lovely drink. Still very much a sour in the sour tradition rather than a sour beer, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think that's the only thing that would say is wrong with it. And it's like, if you want a beer that is also sour. Oh, it's also, they have that thing, don't they? It's a number 2 on the sour scale, so it's mostly just a slight tartness that works really well with the ginger and lemongrass sort of zing. It's incredibly drinkable. I love the way the ginger comes out right after the foretaste leaves. Just gives a nice little gingery tingle, but not too much to like make it feel seasonal, if that makes sense. It's not like a big ginger bite.
Okay.
yeah.
It's really good. It's got layers that play well together, so it's like I'm focusing to find these notes because they're all kind of flowing together. It is an excellent beer. I'm now very sad that the shop I got it from doesn't have any left, but very happy that it was saved for me. It's this weird sort of dissonance of, God damn it, now I want another one. Oh, I should just be thankful I got this one, really. Yeah, so this is one of those things where, unless you were looking for a beerier beer, which again, those who are looking for a sour tend not to, because that's not where you get the big malty, beerier taste. It's just great. Yeah, it's 4.7%. Could not, if you had this to me, except for like, it looks like a nice, reasonable, hazy pale kind of thing. Slightly more orangey in my world than in yours, judging by the recording. Except for that, it's not a beer, right? It doesn't have that much beer taste. Again, it has a bit of maltiness, and that rounds it out. But it's just a really, really excellent tasting drink. It's effervescent enough to feel like an alcoholic drink, but not alcoholic enough at all in the taste. Like if you gave this to me in like a thermos, I wouldn't be like, oh, neat beer, right? I mean, it would because it's slightly effervescent and you don't have pops that are this light in bubbles, but like, it's really great. I kind of see what Ben was saying because I don't. Sometimes, especially with sours, you're like, I have to be in a specific mood or whatever. I can't really immediately think of a time of year or an occasion where this wouldn't be like a welcome drink.
Okay.
It's just got that right balance of interesting flavors that are melded together. It's not too tart. Again, the lemongrass and ginger aren't super strong, but they're still there, making it interesting. Yeah, really excellent beer. I'm curious how it will feel by the end of it. I'm also noticing that the taste, the finish, is that lemongrass and ginger and slight creamy sweetness is lingering long enough that I'm only reaching for it to like try and describe it. So I could end up nursing this, or I could end up pounding through. I haven't figured it out yet. But I'll go back to you, Ben. How's your beer?
I mean, it did crack without any kind of fizz, any kind of carbonation or anything. But when it poured, it did have a decent amount of head to it. I did chug it into the glass as such. Light nose, not massive. A little bit of fruit, a little bit of sweetness. Nothing major coming off of there. More maybe guava than anything else is sort of that slightly stronger kind of flavour. But yeah, it's a thick boy of colour. And it's nice already. It does still have that little. It's not flat. It's not super carbonated, but it's not flat. I don't think there's anything that has happened to the can. I mean, this is how this beer should taste. But where it was really light on the nose, huge flavour, like big burst of flavour. Mostly that kind of guava that's coming through with like a little hint towards the end of something that's a little bit sweeter. Something that is that maybe more orangey or apricot kind of flavour. And it's got this sort of creaminess sort of towards the end as it moves into those kinds of flavours. So it's more like when you're having like an apricot yogurt or something like that. It's got that little creamy kind of note to it towards the end. It's a nice sort of medium bodied beer. But it's got that little bit of sweetness at the end of it as well, and that nice creaminess. But there's a touch of bitterness going on as well. So whilst all of those are happening, when the beer starts to dry out, this kind of slight bitterness kicks in as well. There's a bit of sort of more ripe kind of stone fruit or something like that in terms of its bitterness, like maybe grapefruit or something. In that kind of end of bitterness. This tastes like a kind of all of those grapefruit IPAs that we got 8, 9, 10 years ago that were kind of coming out. Maybe not quite that long, but around that sort of mark. This tastes like a supercharged version of that with a much bigger early kind of start to it. A little bit more creaminess in there as well. It's lovely. It's really nice.
I'll have that next week then.
What do we expect from Deya?
It's true. It's true.
Absolutely. I think Ranjit had a couple of the staples, Steady Rolling Man, magazine cover, and a couple of other ones, which I've basically just been like, I'm coming in, I'm just buying Deya. Sorry, this is what I'm going to get now. But there was a couple of specials. So they've done a record shop day beer, which he had a few cans in, which was nice, and a few others which I've sort of tried. So it's nice, it's lovely. He had a bunch of Lost and Grounded in as well, which he just had a delivery of, which were more of their seasonal and kind of one-off releases. I drank the Big Thor, which is the Burnt Mill and Lost and Grounded collaboration, which they do sort of almost every year, if not every year. I think this was number 6 or number 5. That was lovely. I had that this evening. Nice big West Coast IPA, which I started my evening off with. But it's absolutely ridiculous that he was telling me that he's got someone that walks down, a 30-minute walk for them to walk down just to come and pick up beers, because he is almost the furthest placed easterly in Bristol. Any further east, and there's nowhere to buy craft beer, basically. So he is almost. He said he's starting, or feels like he's starting to be a bit of a destination for it. And he's
Great.
he's running sort of the standard stuff. He's got Arbor, Lost and Grounded now. But he had Arbor, New Bristol Brewery, Bristol Beer Factory, Wiper and True in there were his staples. He's now got Lost and Grounded, Deya. He's getting Left-Handed Giant coming in. He's getting an Electric Bear, the brewery from over in Bath. Getting an order from them in a couple of weeks. He was talking about getting another 2 in, so he's sort of almost looking at kind of 8 to 10 lines at the moment to sort of see what he's, how well that does. I think I'm trying to push him towards someone like More or Good Chemistry or something that's a bit
Pantheon, yeah.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
That's the next step.
Like, if you could go and get some Attic or some Leviathan or something like that as well, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was at Leviathan today. They had a hazelnut beer on, stout on, and the weather was lovely today. It was
Yep.
20 degrees. Yeah. And so like stout weather, but I had tried it a few weeks ago before they had it just wasn't carbonated enough, so they weren't selling it. But it was just instant hazelnut aroma, and it's come through in the taste now as well. It's just it's almost too sweet. But it is just like something like Vault City would do, just like a what's a hazelnut based chocolate, Ferrero Rocher kind of stout, but I think it was about 4%, like 4.2 or something. So it was just easy enough, but still had that flavor and that creaminess at such a low percentage. So it's they make good beers over there.
Nice, nice. My friend has he bought a stake in a gaming cafe last year, and has since taken over. And he was talking to me about the craft beers that they get in, and said, if I give you my trade account, would you go on and have a look at some stuff? And I'm like, well, what do you want? Of course I will, absolutely. But what do you want? He's like, well, I want, he gave me this kind of list of headings. I'd like 2 stouts. I'd like 4 IPAs. I'd like 4 pales. I'd like 4 sessionable beers. That kind of thing. So he's got about sort of 18 to 20 lines in the fridge at any time.
Oh wow!
And I'm like, cool. Let's have a look at who's on who you've got available. And instantly, when he was like, I really want a flavored stout, not just a standard one. I want a flavored one. I'm like, cool. I'll just look at what Tartarus are doing, and basically made him a basket of 4 different breweries, about 5 lines from each brewery.
Nice.
And he's like, I spoke to the bloke who owns the other craft beer shop, and he said I was a bit brave to try and put Tartarus on, so I've only decided to have 3 of their beers or 2 of their beers. And I'm just like, coward, absolute coward.
Yeah.
I will say that, especially the Tartarus. I actually like that they've now finally they have branched away from just really big ABV beers.
Yep.
Which I think was at the Hobknocker. There were a couple when they came out with those 3. It must be a year, 6 months to a year ago now. Last summer, they had these 3 8 to 10, 11% beers named after some goddesses or whatever.
Yes.
And he put 2 of them on, or had them rotate, and one of them sat on for a month and a half, 2 months, because I was basically the only one who would end of the night I'll give you a pint of that one then, won't you?
A double or something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
A double.
It was the Thalia and 2 others. That was the triple release. I'm pretty sure. But
yeah, I think when I
I
had a look, there was like Demeter and a couple of others, which were those higher percent, 7 odd% sort of things. But
so seven's like not that. These were the like 8, 10, 11 or something like that.
I steered very clear of those ones for his sort
Yeah.
of thing. But they did have a 3.4% pale as well from Tartarus. So I was like, cool, that's one of the beers. Great, fine.
Yeah.
Then I'll get the ridiculous stout that he's asked for as well. And this is the sort of thing. But
But I mean, I think that it's because they have, for a long time they've been known as great beers but big, right? And so I think I wouldn't be surprised if it isn't as bad as the other guy is saying, because they've started regularly releasing normal ABV beers.
But it's interesting that we've had this bit of a, the last few years, following on from COVID, kind of lots of closures and breweries shutting up shop, and I don't know whether we're coming out the other end of that, but it seems like things are picking up, not in a craft beer bubble sort of way, that actually it's not, you're getting places that would generally just be like, cool, I've got a few beers in, going, actually, let's expand the range of stuff that we've got. People are coming here to come and pick this up. And, Ranjit around the corner was saying he's going to get rid of a couple of the standard lager lines that they carry because they just don't sell very many. He's like, I've got to get rid of some space to bring these new craft breweries in. I'm already using 1.5 of my sort of 3 fridge shelves to carry these kinds of like craft beers. Actually, if I've got 2 full shelves, I've got to get rid of, the Tyskie and then a couple of the other ones that he's like, just don't sell them very much. So yeah, it's interesting to see a bit of a shift in like normie kind of space, in sort of like, this isn't a place that you'd normally see this. This is great.
Yeah. I think people probably just going back to their comforts in this cost of living crisis that we will never claw our way out of.
Absolutely not.
So it's interesting, right? So I remember seeing someone like, I mean, we're recording this on April the 4th, 2025, the week of the tariffs. And someone was like, had posted a graphic of like some of the major U.S. like the stocks along with the markets, and it was like all red because everything's dropped, and then there's like 3 pockets of green. And someone was like, "What's up with these?" And of course, they were food distributors. And the thing is, when you're already in crunch and everything gets, and when things crunch, people still like luxuries, but they can't afford big luxury goods. But they can afford luxury food and like consumables in the food drink space. So I can't buy a fucking car. I'm never buying a house. So I can't buy even like a booster box of the latest Magic the Gathering set, right? Like, but what I can do is spend a couple quid more on the beers I'm taking, right? Because like, I want something nice. Yeah, I'm not upgrading my PC. I'm not buying a Switch 2. What I'm doing is consistently, week on week, spending a little more on takeaways, restaurants. I mean, restaurants is harder because the leap is bigger, but it's these everyday luxury goods in the sense of I have to buy the thing anywhere, but I can afford a little more, that actually do well, at least in this moment. And then when we hit the full recession, those things just disappear, right? Because no one's buying them at all. And but like these, like this type of luxury good actually thrives a bit under these initial economic pressures. And so, I mean, once we all realize that austerity's not going away, fuck it, I'm going to spend more money on craft beer because it's better than a Tyskie, and I'm not getting anything else out of my life.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's nothing else. What else are we going to hunker down within our bunkers?
Oh, yeah. This is great, by the way.
Absolutely. You've got to take the small wins where you can.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Let's talk about some video games this week. I think I dominated a little bit last week with games that I played.
I think you're gonna have to again this week.
That's
In my head, the Unreal Tournament 2005 or whatever the fuck it was called, like domination. That voice came on. We're like, I think I dominated last week. I'm like, oh, someone's eyeing his abilities. Oh wait, no, he's literally apologizing. It's not domination if no one else is talking and wanting to talk. That's
Fair.
called content creation.
I see.
And
I see
we're
the
leaning
flaw,
on you
sir.
for it, my dude.
Yes,
Do not
yes.
stop.
I've had we haven't recorded for 2 weeks, so we've got a couple of weeks of stuff to do. But I've had a really, like, work-wise, I've had an intense 2 weeks, and I don't know how I've managed to do it, but I found some time to play 3 different games.
I think it's that when you're really busy, something in you realizes that you need the downtime, so you make the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Otherwise, I'll just go and sit on the sofa with Kim for a bit, and we'll chat for 10 minutes. She'll put some shite on the telly, and I go, just look at shit on Blue Sky or Instagram or my phone.
I'm just saying this because I've noticed this a couple times in the past few months where you're like, I've been slammed, but also I played these 2 games.
Yeah.
I think that's unlock like access to like the 4th dimension, like when you have kids anyway, because it's like I have 10 minutes to do something, 10 minutes of quiet. I am not going to, probably like me and Aadil, just stare into space for 10 minutes.
I don't even own a telescope. Still try though.
Make those minutes count.
Absolutely. Right. So,
I'm like squinting at the ceiling.
Yeah.
I'll run through these. I said I was going to talk about Cities Skylines 2. I will. I'll start off with that. I put a reasonable amount of hours into Cities Skylines 2. It's a great game to put on in the background, do a bunch of work, and then be like, I'll just have a break for 5 minutes. I'll go and build some roads and set some stuff. I don't know where I sit on Cities Skylines 2. As an evolution from the first game, it feels different in its fundamental kind of gameplay. That the first game felt much more arcadey. It was much more of a SimCity kind of clone with the transport kind of elements highlighted within it. It's got its own transport systems. That's a big push for Cities Skylines.
And the OG version, if I remember correctly, was much more, despite its name, was much more like traffic simulator with buildings, and then they like fleshed out the rest afterwards.
Yes. It's like Transport Fever or something like that. A little bit more in that sort of vein. And they put this sort of much more sort of SimCity element on top of it in terms of going, cool, this is residential, this is industrial, this is commercial sort of areas. We have to link them in some sort of way. Yes, there is a population as such, and 100 people can go to school. Cool, build a school. Brilliant. That's your next milestone. Cities Skylines 2 is similar. You're still doing all of those kinds of things, but it feels like it wants to get you to quite a large settlement really, really quickly. And so it gives you this area in this map, and within about 20 minutes of playing, I have filled the map already. And I have to then expand and expand and expand. And they've made the map much bigger, so you can expand. Yeah, I mean,
they all are.
It feels like that a lot. It's like buy the next bit and then pay rent on the extra land that you've rented for your settlement. And I'm like, okay, all right, I have to. I've got nowhere else to build. Can't go anywhere.
Can't escape it.
I mean, you could just not.
To be fair, I could just not do that. But I'm playing it almost like, as you do with city builders. There is an end state as such. I could have bought all the tiles. I could have made this metropolis, megalopolis, and just been like, cool. I'm still in a plus on kind of the revenue I'm generating. My books are balanced. I've got this city that works. There's no unemployment. There's no homelessness. Everyone's in education. Great, cool. I've got to this point. Perfect. But I keep playing it in a way where I'm like, I don't like the road layout that I have done. I can be much more efficient. I'm trying to play it like an urban planner, like a city planner, and be like, actually,
where the cost of change is not actually the same.
Exactly.
Like, it's just like, fuck it, I'm gonna burn all these
Yep.
bridges literally so I can remake the bridges.
And it gives me obviously the option to be able to do that. It gives me timers on how long it takes for buildings to be built, and also my revenue will drop because there's no taxes on those buildings and those kind of things. There is a touch of consequence to that. It's not quite, as I say, not quite as arcadey. You're trying to optimize like land use, so I feel like you're trying to optimize land use a lot more in this version. And one thing that they've done is they've gone, here's a school. School can house 500 students. Great. Well, actually, you've got 600 eligible students in Cities Skylines one. Cool. Build another school because
Hold them.
that
Build a trailer out the back. That's what real fucking.
Well, so that
developers
school
do.
in Cities Skylines one had a radius around it, and they're the kids that could go to that school, right? Cities Skylines 2 isn't doing that as such. It's kind of like they're eligible spaces, and it's more to do with your transport systems and actually how people can get to that it spreads. So it's not just radius. And Cities Skylines, well, I think from memory did this a touch, where it kind of greens the roads. Like people along these routes can get to the school. So this is the spread of the school. But there's now upgrades for major sorts of buildings. So the school can have extra space. You can build more classrooms, ultimately. You can build a park or a playground or a football stadium or something like that with high schools and different things, where it then might enhance the land value and the happiness of people kind of around you. So you're having to plan a hell of a lot more early on in Cities Skylines 2 by going, I've built a school. It takes up 6x4 squares. Actually, I need to keep another 2x6 squares for the extension to the school. So that now doesn't fit with the system that I was going to, or the placement I'm doing. And I find that I'm, unlike Cities Skylines 1, and I will be upfront, this is what I want. I want Cities Skylines 1, where I can build a tiny village, and I can expand on that village, and I can expand and keep going, and then I can rework the interior part as the suburbs kind of grow, and then you get little offshoots of high streets and things like that. Feels much more organic, even though it's arcadey. Cities Skylines 2 wants me to have planned all of my fucking roads straight away. You know, I need to know what I'm working with. Where are my resources?
We were like gentrification. No, none of that. We're going to make all the areas posh immediately.
Absolutely. You can unlock gated communities in Cities Skylines. So I've never enacted
that sentence is hilarious.
It's too real.
You unlock gated communities? What, just to lock them back up?
I haven't enacted one. I kind of want to do it just to see what it is. But
wait, how do you? So with communities, do you control the flow of resources? Like, how did the community? What differentiates community A from community B?
You can. So I haven't found a way that you can stop things like through traffic. But essentially because I haven't enacted one, I can't give a full response as such. From what I understand, the gated community item is obviously only people who live there or work in whatever you're doing can access that area.
What parameters are we segregating on?
Yeah, that's what I want to know. Because if it's just access, but like gated communities need to make their own income to pay for their shit.
Well,
so I'm saying
in a way they don't, because they can leave to access
generational
the resources.
wealth.
If I'd made if everything was its own gated community, everything I think would have to be a self-sufficient little bubble.
No, but I so this is what I meant is like how much of the city planning, like ongoing infrastructure, maintenance costs, garbage people, those things, how much of that is controllable at the community level?
Because not much.
So it's not a real gated community, right? Because like those are usually suburbs which have their own stuff. Because I was thinking what you could do is make gated communities and underfund them. right? But if
People
you do,
just
if the
stood
game isn't
outside with
letting
their
you,
fucking rifles, like it's just fucking.
no, like I want to live like I want to live away from the riffraff, and then meanwhile the riffraff is just having a like statistically better life because they're the city,
Hang
the
on.
taxes
Am
are
I,
paying for
am I
it.
forcibly creating ghettos?
You're,
Yes.
yes, ghettos of Karens, Karen
This
ghettos.
is America.
I mean,
This is
to be fair,
what they have strategically done for centuries.
Right, but my point is, if you could have to do that thing, but then not give them the high. So the problem with the American gated communities is in places that are underfunded, they spend money to give better quality of life than those around them. And I was just wondering, can you invert that because you are playing as like
potentially,
the
I don't
city
know.
councillor?
I don't know. So I haven't. Within the first game as well, you could unlock policies. So you could be like, here is an area. I've set a district, and now here are the policies for that district. You know, everyone here recycles. That costs me more money, but it produces less waste. You know, those kinds of things. Haven't found how to do that yet in Cities Skylines 2. There's a town hall. I don't know whether I've got to build the town hall and then enact policies. But there's a few things with the game that I kind of want to. I'd like to see them improve on. And actually, one thing that I really liked from one of the best things about Frostpunk 2 was their kind of council idea, that you have these groups, these kind of almost like lobbying groups that you have to keep happy to keep peace within the disaster settlement. You could enact that in something like Cities Skylines 2, and actually these policies are great, but everyone here is like, fuck recycling, I want to do that. And you get, more
just
waste that's
base
produced.
your next town on Birmingham, and like nobody's picking up waste here.
This is my other point and my other issue with the game is it has the two different like asset packs in the base game are US, so it's not really the US. It's a specific kind of type of housing
like,
in the US.
Urban sprawl, sort of.
Yep.
Single family homes versus attached homes
versus townhouses,
yeah.
kind of thing, tower blocks, and then they have a European assets pack, and both are quite similar in the buildings look different, but they all work the same, right? I have downloaded a mod for a UK asset pack, and I'm like, I'm ready. I'm ready to make Nowhere Town UK, Birmingham, Bristol, fucking anywhere, like, and just be like, great. It's just fucking terraced houses everywhere, mate. It's just fucking slums, just for miles and miles. We go back to Victorian fucking Britain.
Oh, but like, you can't. So because you are building the town from scratch, right? I've just realized that like you can't replicate somewhere like Bristol unless you have access to the old bullshit that used to be here, that some of it got replaced and some of it didn't, and you spent the time going forward, right?
Oh,
so, like
absolutely.
You can't actually make you can fake the current footprint of a UK city.
Yes.
But you can't actually make it in the sense of like this is why this fucking place has a stupid traffic circle, and also why this area is like poorly served because it has bad access because it historically was blah blah blah.
Historically,
right?
why was this the central point? Well, it was the market because it was the interchange for the port, and then the road coming down from like Gloucester, and then the one going to Bath. This is that central point where everyone kind of congregate. Here's where the market was. Now in Bristol, it's just a big open fucking plaza with a bad traffic system because there ain't no market no more, and it's just still the central bit. There is no there is no organic growth nature in Cities Skylines 2. It is like planet, get it set, get it ready. Now start putting your buildings and things in. Now start expanding, and actually you're just building more map. And yes, you could come back and destroy all of that central section if you wanted, redo the roads, put different types of buildings in there, make it a high rise sort of section or something like that. But yeah, it just doesn't feel organic in any way at all.
Have Have you played mini motorways or mini metro?
I played Mini Metro when you
Mm.
spoke about it. What, like years ago now, isn't it? I suppose?
Yeah, it's very old. Yeah, that and mini motorways is just like, just gotta embrace the chaos.
Yeah.
You're just gonna have like motorways overlapping each other. It's like 12 spaghetti junctions on top
Nice.
of each other. It's like, yeah, you just embrace it.
Yeah.
Just like,
Well,
this is impossible.
it,
People having to go to work like on a ring road when the factory's next door, you know, and it's just like it's just these guys are very
well, this
good.
is where I start getting really into it and start doing neighborhoods where it's
Mm.
just pedestrian. You know, you can actually only drive down halfway, and I put in some traffic calming measures. You can't go any further. Bristol's just put in a bunch of what they're calling livable neighborhoods, where essentially they're just cutting up residential streets to stop rat runs. Ultimately, pushing all of the traffic back onto the main routes. The main routes aren't suitable for higher levels of traffic than they have, you know, but they're going to do it anyway. I'm going to get really into that in Cities Skylines. Just create these fucking really poorly performing neighborhoods in terms of sort of traffic. But I've started modding it. So I brought this UK asset pack in. I've been looking at a traffic system mod where actually I can pull away from just the base code for, you know, like roundabout routes and stuff like that. And I'm actually like, well, if you're coming off of a motorway, I want my right two lanes to be right turning, and then I want my left lane to be left turning and straight over, because there's nothing to the left. But it automatically defaults to left, straight over, and then right. So everyone tries to pull in that right-hand lane to go into my city. Like,
that's not like real life at all. People in the
Absolutely.
left-hand lane go
No.
right all the
And
time.
they all very nicely allow people to move into the right-hand lane.
Oh,
you've
so-
got
so
traffic
it is-
jams fucking everywhere.
It's really not a real
No, not at all.
simulator.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to find ways to mod it to make that more efficient, but to also kind of make it a little bit more realistic in that sort of way. Like, actually,
Right.
just the flow of traffic is these two lanes rather than one, and everyone's just very kindly letting a car trailing a massive fucking caravan, which has to do a 12-point turn to get into the next fucking lane because it's stupid. And then I've just got a tail back on the motorway for fucking 4 years. But I mean, I'm enjoying it enough to kind of keep poking it and wanting to unlock these systems and see how these things kind of work. So I'll talk about Cities Skylines 2 more through the year, I would imagine. You know, I put a ton of time into the first game. I would imagine I'll do a similar kind of thing with this. Nothing's pushed me to go back to the first game. Like, I'm kind of happy enough that I'm like, I want to see what the systems are like and how it's working in this kind of one, rather than just being like, cool, I'll just go back and build a lovely city in the first game. Actually, I kind of want the chaos a touch to sort of give a bit of a challenge to it.
So
Right.
here's a question: how much of the first game did you play with mods?
How?
Because by moving to mods, you were saying this gameplay is not what I want.
Sure.
And so I'm just asking, because if you haven't explored the mods of the game that's been around longer, the game you want from both of them probably exists on some combination of janky mods that may or may not work well with each other.
So I would say I've put in, so Steam is telling me I've got nearly 300 hours in Cities Skylines. I would imagine that, say the first 60 to 80 hours is unmodded. A quarter to a fifth was unmodded when I then started to look at mods to improve, the traffic systems and those kinds of things. I don't like how Paradox operates in its kind of DLC sort of way as well.
Yeah.
Cities Skylines came out and they're like, cool, here's a game, and then over like a 10-year period they've gone, we've released a ton more content. Cities Skylines 2 came out last year or late the year before, and there's so much DLC out for it already. Like, here's an asset pack that a creator has produced because you want buildings from Barcelona. It's just like, why am I paying £5 for that? Just put it in the fucking game. It's just a different set of fucking buildings. And yes, I'm getting that through some mods, which you then have to change the code. So I've got to download, I've got like 7 gig of mods on because I need a couple for this these certain ones to be able to work and operate in that sort of way, because it has to change stuff enough to change the base game. You're absolutely right. I am pulling away from the base experience, which is why I think for Cities Skylines, it's happened a lot earlier in Cities Skylines than it did with Cities Skylines, because I kind of know what I want a little bit more as well. And actually, what I want is not Cities Skylines. It's like a historic city builder that starts in like 1500, and I build my fucking little hamlet, and that becomes a through route from City 1 to City 2, and my town evolves around that. You know?
I feel like this is the missing space between like Civ and SimCity. Like,
absolutely.
Civilization. I enjoy those early times when I'm making a little place, right? I'm making multiple cities, but especially, I mean, it's gotten a bit better in the more recent games, but it's like, but ultimately what I'm doing is making attacking units. But in the more recent stuff, like post Civ 2, post Civ 3 probably, you can develop the city, and the flow of goods in your civilization matters more, and that stuff's really neat. But you're still ultimately building war units, and as soon as another civilization comes around, you have to deal with that geopolitics. I'm not saying that's not good, because I think that's an important part of the history of the world, etc. But the more I reflect on things, I have this joke where no matter what I'm teaching, whether it's the ethics of AI, abstract advanced logic of modalities, or any sort of dissertation supervision, I seem to always come back to, oh yeah, but fucking capitalism, am I right? And it's kind of the same thing with video games. I've been thinking a lot about, because my research has been dealing with like how much we don't acknowledge like incentive structures and analogical thinking of humans, and it all comes back to, oh fuck, video games do kind of suck, because they put us in this really crappy box of kind of like, Civ is a great example of like neoliberalism, neoliberalist expansion and individualism, because even though it's your civilization, it's just you are winning, you are the thing. So even though it seems like you're representing a people, it's still me. And I was like, oh, it's kind of one of the reasons that I didn't even think about picking up the latest one. I'm like, I don't think I want to play games with that incentive structure anymore. But what I do like about it is the other parts, right? And it's like the same thing. It's like, I want to grow a city and a community.
Yep.
And think about its growth over time.
Yes.
And Civ will never be that game, and SimCity will never be that game, because it starts you from present and kind of doesn't have historical, like, time flow in the same way. Even SimCity 2000, except for when you can get the arcologies, but then an alien will come and destroy them, right? Like that, but like we've lost that part of these city simulators, of like the notion of actual like unit progression.
Yep. Yeah. No, I agree. Absolutely. It's something that I think would be, you know, you're either a city builder, you're a 4X, or you're like an RTS in the kind of build stuff, time passing kind of way. And you know, the 4X and the RTSs are much more focused on kind of a combat sort of experience, and not really replicating any kind of city building in sort of any kind of way. Whereas the city building, which pulls away from that, doesn't really actually want to do anything with time management as such. It's much more focused on the management and the policies and the transport systems, and where you're building and how you're building, and use of resources, and those kinds of things. There is absolutely a middle ground. You're right for something, and it may exist. Someone can point us in the direction of it if it does, but I don't think
There's
it
probably
does.
an indie game
There probably is. There's
may
probably
not be good,
yeah.
but it's probably an indie game that has tried. Or just go punch dirt in Minecraft and build your city from.
But
very
Minecraft
humble
doesn't have
beginnings.
that progression, right? Like it does have certain, like, you can start making prettier looking bricks, but it's not.
Hey, when you unlock all those, what is it? The red stuff or whatever.
Redstone. Yeah.
control-
I'm not saying it doesn't
that
have
controls
progression
stuff,
in the
yeah,
sense of
yeah.
what you can
Can make
build.
a
I'm saying it doesn't have
town.
progression in the sense of like buildings and like
I
yes, you
disagree.
go from the
You
wood
build
age to the redstone age, and like
houses.
now you can make automated stuff. But in
Yeah.
the sense of this historical progression of even just like housing styles and like, oh shit, the whole like modern UK problem of, well, people have always lived in these places, so we've never had a chance to fucking decimate these 7 houses on this row so that there's space enough for a wide enough road, right? Because horse and carriage didn't need was usually one way in this thoroughfare, so it's super skinny even for horse and carriage. All that crap, right? You can't really do that in a game like Minecraft because it's not a like.
Sure, you could role play it enough to do.
Yeah, but
really
role
into
playing,
it.
sure. In that case, why don't Ben? I've got the newest Out of Lives podcast for you. It's a real play RPG where you're going to be a city planner and in a generation of city planners, and we just plan this city as things happen, and then you die or you get voted out. But guess what? You're the guy who voted in, and we just keep going over time. But because you'll be a good role player, if you get voted in for like widening roads, you'll be that guy, and if you, and then you'll get bribed. Oh, you know what? This actually sounds like a very dumb, very fun.
It would be, absolutely. I'd enjoy that. I'm gonna move on. From Cities Skylines. And
so that's game one.
That's game one. Game one. There's the other 2 games I'll only touch on this week. I won't go into them too much, but I've been a bit of a Ubisoft boy for the last week.
Wait, so you gotta that turn of phrase get interpreted in very bad ways.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So you've been sexually harassing your underlings and paying them less? Like you're a Ubisoft boy now?
Only in the terms of I've been playing Ubisoft games. That's all I meant. So
is that what you're calling it?
Prince of Persia: The Lost.
No, it's okay, officer. It was just Ubisoft games.
Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown dropped on PlayStation Plus, so I have been putting a little bit of time into that, and I played an hour of the demo, if that kind of was it. Was it last year, Lucy? Was it a game from last year?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, put some time into the demo previously, but I've been playing it now. It's a great game. It really is, yeah. It's so fluid, and just the gameplay is just constant as well. It's a really well fleshed out sort of Metroidvania as well. You're not going screens and screens and screens without kind of stuff to do, and it's interesting how it compares to the Rogue Prince of Persia, in that it's ultimately just a different game in terms of things like upgrades and stuff. Not swapping weapons out and all of those kinds of things. And like the Rogue Prince of Persia, which is like, cool, new weapon, higher level, brilliant. Let's just swap that out and run with that. Different playstyle, cool. I can adapt to that, perfect. The Lost Crown, I think, just it wants you to get good at the way that you play and to feel powerful and to master those kinds of systems and things.
Yeah.
It kind of keeps giving, which is nice. There's no sort of dead spaces. There's no sort of downtime in some of it.
And every upgrade you get is like not only with traversal but can be used in combat, which is just really neat. Yeah,
absolutely. There's been some really early tough kind of bosses, and I've gone. It doesn't lock stuff off that much either. I've been able to kind of, apart from coming across a character and the character going, "You don't really need to be here. This is, I'll deal with the stuff down here. You don't need to be here." And almost this kind of like soft. Actually, don't come here yet. Just go and do the actual thing you're meant to be doing instead of exploring that little bit. I'm like, fuck that. I'm gonna explore a little bit. I spent 20 minutes kind of exploring the sewers and the Undercity kind of area before I kind of ultimately died. I was like, this is probably a bad idea. Maybe I will follow the path kind of through. But it doesn't kind of gate you off that much, apart from perhaps there's like areas that you do need to have abilities to be able to kind of get to a little bit later on, but it still allows you a bit of exploration and freedom.
Yeah,
kind of in it.
yeah. It's not very linear, like
Yeah.
say Metroid Dread was or something like that. Yeah. Yeah. It's an excellent game.
It is, and again, I'll I'll continuously sort of play more of that. It's sort of the game that I'm sort of picked up on the PlayStation right now. So if I get some time downstairs, I'm like, yes, I'll put this on a little bit. I came across a manticore, like a big like kind of lion, winged lion, which is a main boss, and the kids were like,
Yeah.
I don't like that. I'm like, well, watch me fucking kill it. And I got it down to like 2/3 of its health were gone, and I'm like, on like the tiniest slither of fucking health, I'm like, definitely gonna die. And I've told these children I'm gonna beat this thing right now, and I know that I'm going to fail massively.
Yeah.
And I just paused it. I'm like, I'll come back to that later. Don't worry about it. Just we'll do that later. And the kids went to bed. I turned it back on and it instantly died. I'm like, oh bollocks. But yeah, that's the point that I've got to in the game.
Yeah, that's an early boss.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it keeps popping up saying I've done like there's a percentage on my save file, which is like I've done 7.5% or something like that. And I don't know whether that's progression or whether that's exploration.
Probably exploration.
Okay.
Yeah,
Good to know.
I can remember.
Fucking loads more to see then.
Yeah, because I think I ended up in like the high 90s, but that's because I collected everything. So yeah, the main story, you probably could end up on like, who knows, like 40-50% of stuff
right
fully explored. But it's one of those games where it's like I felt compelled to see all of it, or at least most of it.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, and you'll want to explore like the different abilities that you get and just how easy it is, like zipping through the map, or it's got quick travel and stuff like that. It's just, and the fact that you can like make those, is it like memories or whatever, where you can just press down on the D-pad and take a screenshot of like wherever you were and show you whatever collectibles there and be like, oh, mental note. Instead of actually taking a mental note, you take a physical picture note, which is that was probably the best not thing about the game, but like innovation in it.
Absolutely.
Because everything else is just very much, yes, this is a very competent Metroidvania made by people who obviously love Metroidvanias, but that was truly genius. But yeah, it's such a good game.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because I know that they've killed that team, right? And they've repositioned people in other teams or got rid of a certain amount of people. But Lost Crown builds on a legacy of Metroidvanias, and not just Metroidvanias, but kind of like platformers. Those 3 side-scrolling Assassin's Creed games, all of the Rayman games. Ubisoft have a bit of a pedigree in that kind of side-scrolling platforming sort of space. So the Metroidvania is a very easy, a very sort of adjacent kind of genre to move into. And again, it's done so competently. Even in the kind of few hours that I've played of it, you can tell that it's just been done really fucking well. Just like,
it's like, why can't they all be like that? It's simple. Just hire me as a consultant. It's not hard. You need a good map. You need good fast travel. You need wall chickens, and then you've got a Metroidvania there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's just
and one innovative thing for Lost Ground, the photo kind of element. Cool, great, brilliant.
That's
You've
all
done
you
something
need.
slightly different.
All
Perfect.
you need. Because I started Ender Lilies weeks ago, and I haven't got back to it yet. And it's just like, it's just a very competently made Metroidvania.
Is that the new one?
Who get it? Yes. It's just called something else, Ender Magnolia or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's just like, just people who get it make good ones,
Bloomers in the Mist or something like that. Anders.
Yes, thank you. Yeah.
But I've been
like a Mills and Boone novel or something like that. Just like,
Sexy.
yeah.
So I've been a Ubisoft boy in another way as well, because I don't know how.
I guess.
I managed to blag a code for Assassin's Creed Shadows,
Oh.
and so I've been
Oh.
playing Assassin's Creed Shadows as well.
You're a ninja.
So I've been a
Mm.
ninja for like a bit, and it's great. Assassin's Creed Shadows is fucking great.
Is it?
Yeah, it is. It's really fucking good. You know, my PC now is probably mid-range in terms of what you can get on the market now. Runs fucking brilliantly. You know, it looks amazing. It's in terms of the sort of graphical fidelity and those sorts of elements, I'd imagine it probably looks better on like the whatever the latest PlayStation is, PS5 Pro.
Yeah.
You know, it's probably got a bit of an uplift on that. Obviously, it'd be better on a high-end PC, of course. But there's no like stuttering for me. It runs perfectly because I asked for a PS5 code. And they're like, sorry, we haven't got any. Like, can I have a PC code then, please? I'm like, yeah, of course you can. Here you go. I'm like,
Yeah.
what?
That's
Funny,
super
though.
interesting.
Okay, cool.
Do you have ray
thanks.
tracing or anything else used?
No, so my video card doesn't have ray tracing. So I'm not seeing it to its full potential.
Oh, but I think like the key about the weirdness of modern video games is your old card can run almost anything great if you just don't give a shit about volumetric, like actual
Absolutely.
volume
You know,
lighting.
I'd
And I'm
need to
not
get,
saying
like,
there isn't a difference, but like for the most part, it will look gorgeous on your older card, which is why I haven't upgraded my video card in a million years, because it's like I don't care enough, and like I'm not saying like there's certain, unless a game like really has this like super atmospheric. Maybe if I was like really into horror-y games and it was like a dark, like I don't know,
So-
inspecting a weird mansion or something.
Silent Hill.
Like
Mm.
yeah, something like that.
I think something like Assassin's Creed Shadows is the kind of game that if I had the money, I would have upgraded my system for, because the contrast between, say, like the lighting in the daytime and then at night is fantastic. Like I'm stood in the woods at night, it's almost fucking pitch black. Like I can see almost nothing, which I wouldn't be able to see in the woods in the middle of the fucking night. Like it does that atmosphere and the environmental kind of lighting really, really well. And you know, if I wanted to upgrade my graphics card in my machine, it's a new machine. At this point, it's a new machine. You know, if you wanted to like a 580 or 590, one of the newer, even if I wanted a 490 and go like the generation previously, I probably don't run enough power in my machine. Then I'm going to get into 3D enabled GPUs. I mean, you know, suddenly you go down the rabbit hole of building a $2,500 PC just to be like, oh, but look at the, look at the moonlight. Look at the moonlight in Assassin's Creed Shadows. Look at how it just reflects off the water. Just live in photo mode.
Yeah. It can't be photo mode because photo mode is stills, in which case you're not actually
it's very true.
benefiting from the volumetric stuff nearly as much, right? Like the reflections don't matter until they do, right? And it's like, oh, well, I'll take a picture.
Very much. But I'm liking AC Shadows. I like Assassin's Creed. It's a good series. I haven't played one of them for a while. So
I was going to say,
is it in the style of like the Origins and the Greek one, or is it going back to like, because didn't they the last? I don't even know.
So
what
the last few games
wasn't it?
shifted the
To
control
RPG.
scheme, and there's RPG kind of elements in this as well.
Yeah, okay, so they haven't left. We're still in the RPG era versus the action.
Yes, we are. You know, you can upgrade the outfit, you can upgrade the weapons that you use, and those kinds of elements. I think it's all a bit.
Is there still purple loot?
Yes, of course there is.
Okay.
Absolutely, it's still in that vein.
Oh yeah, then it's not the Assassin's Creed that I love.
But
it sounds like you're having a good time.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think with the control scheme now, what they've done is L or the shoulder buttons. So R1 is like a light attack, and R2 is a heavy attack, and that's been since Assassin's Creed Origins, which is a game I really enjoyed.
Yes, I remember.
Yeah.
However, because they've tweaked this slightly, that actually if you hold R1, you do like a defensive break. So you've got to hold it, but literally I'm sat there with my katana sheathed, holding R1, and then Naue will just fucking pull it out and fucking hit a character, and it'll break their defenses, and then I can go to town on them. Like it's got a few of those kinds of things which you feel has been a bit more, or at least like the animation is fucking spot on for some of these things, and it feels like, really does feel like I'm like a shinobi, just like bam, 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 jump back, throw a kunai, bam, 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 again, you move to another character, move to another sort of attacker and stuff. And there's not been many times where I felt kind of overwhelmed or run away from kind of combat. A couple of times that has been, I'm like, shit, there's too many kind of characters, too many things, and actually I run away and I can hide. Sure, that wouldn't be actually kind of what happens. But characters kind of still search for you. So I've gone and hidden. I'm like, this guy's still fucking following me. What's he doing? But that's great because I can just assassinate him because I'm hidden, and now I can just fucking jump out of this bush at him and stuff. It's very friendly, I think, in the way that it's trying to. It's very approachable in the way it wants you to be able to play the game and do combat and those kinds of things. But it's, as with lots of these kinds of games, the story gives you this sense of urgency, and then it's like, explore as much as you like, and go and see what's over here, and talk to these side characters, and do these kinds of things, because the passage of time means nothing in any way whatsoever. The seasons in this game pass, and that's how you upgrade things. The scouts that you send out from your main hub building that can go and pick up resources and those kinds of things, they won't refresh until a season has passed, which is a manual thing you can do, or you can fast travel and the season passes. But the season passing doesn't seem to do anything more. It's not like, it's kind of an MMO sort of thing. Like you leave the zone and you come back in and everything is regenerated.
Right. I'm just happy to hear that Ubisoft games giving away free season passing.
All the time as well, constant.
I mean, the season pass is so annoying. You need to buy the season pass, which gives you the DLC to slow down the season.
Slow it down, yeah, absolutely. But it has that about it. It's like let's put this kind of story in where there is this like revenge plot and this slight sense of urgency, but don't really worry about it in any way. And
quick question. Sorry, finish with that.
No, part of that also is that I've been playing. I played about 8-ish hours so far, and apart from the tutorial, which was 15 minutes with, I forget the fella's name. The Yasuke, something like that. The Black Samurai. It's been 8 hours. I haven't experienced that character for fucking ages. I've just been playing as Naue, who is a shinobi, is a Japanese-born character of Iga, and it's her kind of like revenge story ultimately that it's kind of building into. Yasukai, I think, is the other guy who you start off and you're like, cool, I've done the tutorial, I know how to fight. I've moved around with this character, just gone. Where the fuck? Where's he gone? What's going on? It's sort of like, okay, well, a big deal was made out of this kind of dual protagonist kind of thing. I'm like, when does that kick in? Like, it's interesting. I played 8 hours. Will I get to 10? Will I get to 12? Will I get to 16 before I get back to that kind of point where it then shifts to the other character? Am I then going to play another 8 hours of them? And actually, is that the way that the game is structured? It's a few hours of gameplay of one character, then another, or am I going to get to a point where I get to shift between both of them? Which I think is what happens. Pretty sure I get to shift between both of them at some point. So I can kind of approach encounters and assassination attempts and all those kinds of things almost with both characters and be like, cool, I'll go and do a bunch of stuff with this one. And then I'll switch to the other one, and obviously all of the carnage or chaos that I've caused with character number 1 is still in effect when I switch to character number 2. Pretty sure that's how it goes, but I don't know when that kicks in. No idea when the kind of the game goes from this sort of semi-open world. Yes, you can go around the first area because it's your level, and there's these story parts to it, to becoming a full kind of do what you want sort of thing.
Hour 60.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, based upon the map and the amount of hours I put into area number 1, this is a 100-hour game. Right. Easy.
Jesus Christ.
So who knows?
I remember playing Origins, because I know you were high on it then.
Yeah.
It was like really cheap, and then I bought it. And I was just in like the starting area. And then I opened the map. And I was just like, no, I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
It was like, I never played it again. I was like, I felt sick by the size of it, and just even the number of icons that were in like the starting area.
Yep.
And I was like, absolutely not.
I would think like Origins is probably on the lower side as well. You know, like every game that's kind of, like Valhalla, which I started and put in maybe 5 to 8 hours into, I put down because I had that exact feeling. I'm like, well, I've opened up some of the map, but there's so much to this. You know, Origins is like a 30, 40-hour game. And Valhalla will be like, as Shadows probably will be, it's like an 80 to 100-hour game. You know?
So, the question I was going to ask is, you were a big fan of Ghost of Tsushima.
Yes.
Which, when it came out, was like good Assassin's Creed in Japan.
Yep.
This is Assassin's Creed in Japan, right?
Yeah.
Is it good Assassin's Creed in Japan?
Yes. It is good Assassin's Creed in Japan. I think they get the Assassin's Creed part right, and they get the Japan part right. I think they've
in part.
Yeah. The thing with Ghost of Tsushima was that it actually was I think Assassin's Creed in Japan is, whilst is a valid kind of touchstone, I think it's almost in a way more there's not really anything else, because you can kind of go down the samurai route, or you can go down the, I don't remember what they called it in Ghost of Tsushima, but the ninja, for lack of a better word, kind of routes where you want to be more stealthy and those kinds of things. So it had that kind of dual sort of skill element to it, dual skill kind of tree that you could run through, and it allowed you to have that difference in play. At the moment, Assassin's Creed is only like, you are a shinobi, you'll be playing it in this kind of way. You know, you're just doing this sort of play style. That is it, really. You know, Naue is a very weak in terms of sort of like health, and you know, you take 2 hits and you're really far. You know, you're right down on your health bar. Like she can't take much punishment at all when she gets into kind of combat. So you're playing it in a very specific style. Ghost of Tsushima was a bit more forgiving in that sort of sense. And you know, Ghost of Tsushima is all about stances and different enemy types being weak to certain stances and those kinds of things. Assassin's Creed hasn't got any of that at all. You're much more like, I am a shinobi. I'm going to get in and I'm going to get out. I'm going to assassinate people. I'm going to jump down on people from areas. I want to make sure they're by themselves. I can whistle to pull them away from, you know, groups. I'm going to pick people off one by one. I think when I get into Yasuke, he feels, at least from the tutorial, much more like a powerhouse, right? I'm gonna kill people with 2 swipes of my katana rather than the 4 or 5 that it's taking with Naue. So I think they'll have a different play style that will, you know, Ghost of Tsushima was like, here's one character, but here's a bunch of different play styles with different stances. I think Assassin's Creed has kind of separated that across 2 characters instead. One thing I will say is that you know, Ghost of Tsushima does pop up a lot in my thoughts, where I, in Assassin's Creed Shadows, find a shrine, like, oh, I'll just sit at the shrine for a bit, and I'm like, yes, Ghost of Tsushima had that open world kind of gumph, like, what's this question mark over here? Oh, it's petting a dog, brilliant. Oh, it's sitting in a natural spring, great, okay. Those sorts of just random collectibles. And Ghost getting mixed up now, and Shadows has that element as well, but it does allow you to just be like, again, like all these open world games, I don't need to go there. I'm going to. I don't know what's the question mark in the fog on the map. I'll go and find it. Oh, it's a hidden tomb. So that's one of the things I really liked about Origins. There was a bunch of like hidden tombs, which gave you some puzzle elements to kind of get through. Platforming kind of puzzles to get through. And Shadows has that within it as well. So there's these kind of tombs that burial sort of chambers and stuff that you kind of go through. You have to find the access. You have to do a bit of platforming around it. It's not complicated in any way at all, but it produces some nice kind of environments and stuff like that. So it's pulling from those previous games, obviously with the Japanese kind of skin to it. But I feel that they've gone that next sort of step. I think as they probably did with Valhalla, where all of the animations are very, very good. Where you pull your katana out, it's just very satisfying, and defense breaking someone's very satisfying, and actually where you unlock on the skill tree, doing an assassination and then being able to instantly tap a button to throw a kunai at the next character to just instantly like headshot them. Like it's very satisfying in those kinds of ways, and I'm like one layer up in like a 5-layer skill tree, so that will just build and make you feel more powerful and stuff. So
instant death.
Yeah. It's very good. It's there's a skill later on where you can assassinate like more elite characters. So yesterday I was hid in a bush, and there's this character just patrolling around, and I'm like, cool, I'm going to assassinate that character. And as I moved out of the bush into the character's path, it said assassinate, but it was in red. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'll do it anyway. And as I went to assassinate them, this enemy just grabbed me by the throat and was like, that won't work on me. I'm like, oh shit, the game told me it was in red. I obviously couldn't do it. I have to unlock that at some other point. I just cut them down with a katana instead.
Yeah.
The game's not difficult in that sort of sense, but it was very, very good in just this character literally grabbed me by the neck. It's so seamless in that sort of, in that way, which you expect from, ginormous fucking budget game number one. Ubisoft only make quadruple A games, so, of course all of the animations are going to be seamless. But it's fun. It's a fun game to return to when I'm 60 hours in to talk about, maybe. Dependent on how quickly we get to that unlock of the dual kind of character system and actually how that kind of works. If this was
Ninjas and Shinobi are back. They're back in fashion.
No,
there's a new Ninja Gaiden.
Yep.
I forgot what the
Ninja Gaiden
subtitle
4, and they've
No,
remastered Black.
Yes, I mean those are around, and Ninja Gaiden 4 is coming. I don't know when, but it exists. But it's the is it made by the people who? Let me go. New Ninja Gaiden 2D game.
No, there's a new Shinobi game coming out, isn't there?
Yes,
as well.
There's a new Shinobi game, and there's Ninja Gaiden Ragebound.
Nice.
Who's making that again? People with pedigree that we like. Dotemu and the Game Kitchen. Yeah.
So
people who made Blasphemous.
Yep. And so
It's just
interestingly,
like
Dotemu published the Street Fighter 4. No, Streets of Rage 4
Yes.
game, and Shinobi Art of Vengeance, which is the new 2D Shinobi game coming out, is being made by Lizard Cube, who made Streets of Rage 4.
Yeah.
So everyone's like, ninjas, we're there. This is where we need to be.
And I'm here for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And Ghost of Yotai, the Ghost of the sequel to Ghost of Tsushima as well, is I think marked for next year.
Cool. That's in 3D. We don't like those
That's true.
extra polygons.
Yes, But it does seem to be not necessarily in fashion as such. 'Cause I know when Ghost of Tsushima came out, we had a couple of years where then things like Trek to Yomi and a few of those other kind of ninja games started to sort of come out and stuff. So it's been
Sifu
bubbling.
and all that.
Yeah, Sifu, absolutely.
You know what we need? Forget the ninjas. We need dinosaurs.
Mate.
We need dinosaurs back.
We've been back and forth on zombies. Ninjas has drifted, and samurai have drifted in and around. Dinosaurs, just where are they?
I don't know. I don't get it.
No.
They're like the coolest of enemies.
Isn't there a
Dino-
Capcom? There's a Capcom game, isn't there, coming out with a bunch of dinosaurs in, which is like an Anthem-esque, like shooter, third-person shooter.
Out.
Did that come out?
That came out. That came and went.
No.
Yeah.
What was that game
It
called?
came out. I want to say it has Primal in the title. I'm not sure. It's not Primal Rage.
Capcom dinosaur game.
Oh!
Multiplayer.
Capcom dinosaur game. Exo Primal. Fuck, that came out in 2023.
Yeah, it came and it went. Because everyone's like, this isn't Dino Crisis. We're done. People played it probably as long as they did that. What was that? That early Xbox and PlayStation game where it was like asymmetrical. Like there was like one player playing as this monster.
Oh. I mean, there were a handful of those. There was the horror one that we played on the PS4.
Dead by Daylight was the kind of big one, but they've done a bunch of stuff.
Yeah,
wasn't there like
that everyone was like, oh yeah, this is the next big thing, and then it absolutely tanked out of the gate.
There was a Predator one.
Played it like twice.
There was a Predator one where one person played Predator and then 4 people were playing kind of Marines, which is a PlayStation.
Oh, what was that
game?
Didn't they make like a second game that was also like that, but still pretty dire? I swear I played that and it just made me motion sick. That was like Left 4 Dead.
Oh, Back 4 Blood? Are you thinking of that one?
Yeah. Were they the same people who made that other game that was tanked before Turtle Rock Studios?
Yeah, Turtle Rock Studios was Back 4
Blood. Evolved.
Yes. Evolve. Yeah.
They also did Back 4 Blood though. Like that was their.
Yeah.
They were. Yeah. I forgot about Back 4 Blood.
Yeah, I was talking about Evolve originally.
Yep.
I remember that.
So Exo Primal in the last 30 days peaked at 23 players.
God bless them.
I mean,
maybe I should get in there.
Yeah.
November of 2023, it had about 5,000 players.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
That's still not great.
Game, yeah.
No, considering it came out in like July of 2023, and the average amount of players was 4,500. It shifted up and down massively. But in November, they must have released some kind of patch because it went up to 5. Oh, it came out.
Why
on
are the
some
servers
system.
still on?
Who knows?
How are they? Maybe Capcom, because
I mean,
they're going to be like, hold on.
Well, so the thing is,
in the books and like,
this
is what?
When there's like sub 100, that's just like one virtual instance server, right? Like that's actually not hard to run if you don't expect it to ever spike, because it's just like, oh yeah, there's just one server, we'll get some goodwill, these 4 people might buy our game. It's when it's at the like thousands every once in a while that you have to have the infrastructure that can scale, etc. That just like, no, fuck this. Which is like why Drive, what the fuck is that thing called? The open world,
the Ubisoft.
Yeah, the Ubisoft.
There
was a
crew.
The crew.
The crew. Yeah,
Really?
when the original crew server decommissioning came by, and there was this huge uproar because, like, people who are big into game preservation were like, "This is bullshit." And it's like, you know what? Every so often, I used to install the crew and drive around, and then I would turn it off because it wasn't that fun of a game. But the premise was neat, and so I also felt like, that this sucks because this game won't exist and I can't do this. But for game preservation, yeah, that's a problem. But that's always going to be a problem with these live servicey games. But that was because it had the thousands, and presumably it had people like me kind of surging every once in a while, meaning you had to have this constant infrastructure that was giving you no revenue, and you know now video games aren't minting money in the ways that they want them to be, so that opportunity cost of that server comes up, right? Because it's either you automate like a sort of expansion when people surge, but that means you have to have the resources for that expansion to happen, or you don't, and then people get wait queues and then they complain.
It should be easier to do that now, just scaling up and down. But
No, but the thing is,
money.
the scaling only. So unless you like, if you are worried, the problem is like you scale into a space, you have to have the infrastructure to expand into, and if all your games are these like amorphous, I need this fuzzy barrier, then they bump into each other, and then the whole like win of the scaling doesn't work. But also because you need to show infinite growth, and your last game didn't do well, it means you have to turn the scaling off on certain things, right? And again, what did I say at the top of the episode? It's all, and no matter what I do, I just end up talking about the fucking idiocy that is late stage capitalism. Well, it wouldn't be a problem if we didn't have to show infinite growth numbers, right? Yeah. Like you could have this, you're turning a profit. It's not always expanding, but you're doing well. This is what frustrates me about all the layoffs and stuff. If these were just regular companies from a few, like I was just a few decades ago, but like 50 years ago, they'd all be great, right? Like it's like, I'm turning a profit. I can afford the profit. I'm reinvesting into the ongoing stuff my customer base wants and the development of new games. That's the fucking job of a video game company doing well. Oh, but I'm not expanding fast enough, and so I have to fire the people who make the new games possible. / the people who have actually turned the part of the profit that is making my books look good. It's all insane, right? It doesn't make sense from a business standpoint when you look at a business trying to just do the thing, do it well, do it over and over.
Yeah,
it's very much. Enshittification of life. That's what.
Oh no, enshittification is a symptom. Capitalism is the cause. Late stage capitalism. I'm going to stop ranting, except to say that what pisses me off is this isn't the only way capitalism can be, and I'm not a capitalist, but boy, is this the dumbest way to do it.
It's a good point for us to finish the episode. That one, I think. I will just take one swipe at Ubisoft this evening. When we talk about Ubisoft games, you have to think about the way that they operate and the the kind of management structure that they have, and obviously they've had a big bid in from Tencent, haven't they, recently as well, to take a major share in them and spin off sort of two Ubisofts, one which controls the main assets that they have, and then one controls kind of not dormant as such, but the sort of underperforming kind of games and things. A bit of a focus on those. But one swipe I will have this week is that the Stadia controller is not supported through Ubisoft Connect. So I'm playing Shadows through Ubisoft Connect, which is their proprietary PC launcher. Doesn't support the Stadia, so I've had to bring the DualShock.
Didn't they have like all their games on Stadia for a second as well?
Yes, exactly.
I mean, everyone did. It was the next big thing in
Ubisoft
gaming.
were fully into fucking Stadia, right? Ubisoft were one of the companies that were like, yes, we will make games for Stadia, and their new fucking game does not recognize the Stadia controller. It sat here with no fucking use.
The fact that they're still putting their games on that stupid launcher is...
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I was very
Yeah.
surprised actually that it was, to be fair, I wasn't surprised that the code I got was for their launcher rather than it being a
That's
Steam
why they had so
code.
many. Because everyone was like, "You want a PC code?" And I'm like, yeah, it's like it's through Ubisoft Connect. And I'm like, nah, just
Nah, I
keep
don't want that.
Steam.
Thank you. No, absolutely.
Yeah, Steam or GOG or nothing else. Yeah.
So, I don't know. I've spent a lot of my time trying to make weird controllers work on Windows machines for various reasons, mostly because when I finally moved to controller, being okay with playing PC games on the PC with a controller, because I had played enough games now with joysticks. I'm like, okay, so this is legitimately better for some games. X input. I guarantee if you Google an X input driver for the Stadia, because X input is the generic DirectX controller thing. There's got to be an X input driver out there, in which case it'll just read it as one of these.
Yes. Yep.
And then you don't have to care. Not to say the swipe isn't reasonable and you should swipe at Ubisoft for not supporting a controller, which it cannot be that hard to have that support in there. But there's definitely a way around it.
So I think when I was looking, I'm pretty sure the official Ubisoft line on their FAQs is use X input. Use a third party program to work with this control panel.
Thank you. At least they're giving you options.
Like we won't,
At least they know.
We can see this is you're not cheating. It's fine. You're using a third party program. We're not going to instantly ban you from your Connect account for any games that you can play. We told you that it's okay to go and do this.
We're not going to bother do the work, but you can. Yeah. Thanks, Ubisoft.
Brilliant. But Assassin's Creed Shadows, it's great so far. I'm 8 hours in. I'm really enjoying it. We'll talk about it more next week, or touch on it more next week, probably. Let's jump back to our beers and finish out the show for this week. Aadil, we'll come to you for the Vault City.
It's great. It is finished. What I will say is, it's very good beer. I started kind of taking smaller sips because it's one of those beers where that taste curve is so interesting that you just want to have smaller sips to have that experience more often. Once my palate acclimatized, that like creamy lychee, mostly coconut sweetness kind of faded to the back, and then the lemongrass and the ginger came out a little more. Again, not super spicy, sort of forcefully, but it was just like that was more interesting, and it meant the finish was more a bit of that lemongrass swish up. But again, not like I've had a good, tasty, strong curry, but just like there's that lovely that upswing there, sort of called a small note, became a bigger note of the finish. And the stone fruit came out a bit more to just give that main taste a bit more body. Really excellent. I think I liked my last sips the most. But I still stand by that it's not like doing things in such a way that I wouldn't kind of always there's no circumstance where I wouldn't be welcoming this sort of taste.
Yeah.
Really excellent beer. I'm going to follow Ben's he's pursuing kegs. I'll probably pursue cans and try and get a couple more just because I think you're not going to get it again. And it's a very good beer in a way that I was worried it would be like so unique tasting in the way the Vault City is, such that I'm like, oh, I get why you like this, but this is actually, like I said, something you could easily see myself grabbing whenever I had the opportunity, which of course I won't have again because that's not how the thing works. So yeah, so this is one of those beers where I think I will try and track a couple cans down because I think I will always enjoy it and I won't get the option because that's what part of craft beer is.
Nice. It's $4.95 on Vault City's site directly. I don't know what you have to do for them for £50 for free shipping. So you're probably paying a little bit extra to get some things shipped to you.
I mean, it's so far up north,
Absolutely. It wouldn't take you long. Nice. This Deya is very good. I think, as I said at the top, it feels like as we've experienced with Deya recently, with their like double IPAs kind of going back a few years, and maybe not quite being a juice bomb, but being those like pre-modern dippers, getting rid of that kind of oniony, earthy kind of flavours and being a bit more fruit forward. This is a an 8-year-old kind of IPA, but just a bit of a souped up kind of version of it, with a bit of a bigger start to it, a bit of a fruitier kind of start to it, but leaning into that kind of maybe grapefruity bitterness and grapefruity sort of finish to a beer, which I like. I like that beer. We've moved away from that quite significantly over the years, but getting a little bit of not necessarily nostalgia from this, but just a bit of this is a solid beer from a very familiar kind of flavour, which I very much enjoy. And feared the can had been slightly pierced or in some kind of way which made it a little bit weak, and it wasn't carbonated, but it was a good beer throughout. Nice medium-bodied sort of mouthfeel to it, lovely flavour. It's just another solid beer from Deya, which is to be expected, really. So there we go. If you, dear listener, would like to tell us about beers you've been drinking or games that you have been playing, you can do so lots of different places. You can go to our YouTube page, Out of Lives. You can come to outoflives.net and comment on the post of the podcast itself, or you can get tagged up in your podcast service of choice. We are various places on the internet to come and talk to. One of the best places to do that is in our Discord server, our Out of Lives Discord server. You can get hold of one of us to come and talk to. I'm at Nova47 over on Blue Sky. Aadil is
at the Omniarch,
and Lucy is
Juicy Loose 9.
Perfect. Where are you now, Lucy? You still hitting Twitter?
I'm nowhere. I'm in the ether.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Yeah.
Good. That's where we
I
should all be,
remember
really.
that I set up a Blue Sky account, and I haven't. I set the day I set it up was the last day I was on there. So
Fair.
yeah,
Fair. Nice.
but yeah, not really. I avoid Twitter mostly like the plague.
Yes, absolutely. As everyone should, ultimately. So a lovely message to finish us out on. Thank you for joining us. We've been Tanked Up, and we'll see you soon. Goodbye.
Bye.
ciao.
www.outoflives.net